All that comes your way is your asking. There is always a choice. Deep inside, every human wants to live without boundaries and lead a life filled with joy. Only a few address that want. And fewer go about fulfilling it. Every life is like a book that takes a lifetime to write. There is a choice to make it an extraordinary read. Making the world your home opens up new perspectives. Exposing all the senses to the unfamiliar. Enlivening universe. Traveling is infinite. It is exploring the self through relating to the world outside. Traveling gives a first-hand experience in unconditional love. It brings the realization that everything is one. That we are all connected to each other. A simple understanding that we are all looking for happiness. Traveling is continuous learning. It connects the traveler to a universal force that is fueled by positive thought. A force that leads all towards happiness and energy.
There are many ways to travel. You can take a motorcycle, take a plane, or you can take your home with you on a bicycle. Cycling makes traveling a conscious affair. There is more to see on a bike, and that way the cyclist is more in touch with the immediate environment. A bicycle is a revolutionary mode of transport. They are efficient, silent and non-polluting peaceful vehicles. And they allow only limited storage. That way the cyclist carries the bare minimum necessities. The lesser you have, the lesser you have to worry about. A mind that is free from entanglements has nothing to complain. Travel makes you realize the world is your home and you can be comfortable wherever you want if you choose it to be so. This opens up opportunities to do different things for the first time. There is never a monotony in travel. There may be a routine of pitching and clearing a tent every day, but never for 2 days will it be with the same taste of air, sun, heat or cold. Even the shadow that you cast each day is influenced by the ever-changing nature of the world. And it is this ever-changing nature that makes the world beautiful. It allows learning that kindness is intrinsic to people, that a wealth of history and culture exists everywhere, and to be able to appreciate the goodness the world offers The traveler has to soak herself in the ocean of her surroundings. Living indigenously, she becomes a part of where she is. Eventually, the person and the experience merge.
The mind is at its strongest when it's free. It opens the senses to take in the moment, one day at a time. When we set out on the road, there was a lot of wonder and amazement at the immediate availability of freedom. There was suddenly a huge world filled with avenues to explore, people to interact with, and places to stay at. Freedom was but a state of mind. And all it took was one strong switch to turn. It only happened because of all the strength that we gained from family and friends. Freedom played a key role in being able to break boundaries every day.
The first misconception that we would like to clear is that the world is a dangerous place. It is not. People are kind-hearted and very accommodating everywhere in our country. The locals always offered us places to stay, water to drink, and food to eat, not because we were on cycles, but as a basic courtesy. Not all people we came across believed us to be cycling the distance we were. They never doubted that we were touring the country. They just found it hard to digest we were doing it on bicycles. We were often asked if our bikes were motorized. And if our water bottles were petrol tanks. Most thought of our tour as something meaningful and did all they could to contribute to the journey. We had a 90-year-old man one morning who was particularly curious with our campsite clearing activity. and donated 20 rupees when he learnt of our tour. We still have the 20 rupees with us. On the first climb of the journey, the beginning of the Himalayan mountain ranges, we were hit by bad weather.
और भैया आपका नाम?
मेरा नाम परमजीत सिंह जसवाल है।
It was bad enough for us to stop, and through the torrent, a man waved us down and called us into his dhaba.
और यहाँ मैं चाय और खाने का ढाबा रखता हूँ। अब आपको पराठा लगा दें?
हाँ जी।
ठीक है। ठंडा पानी पियेंगे गर्म?
गरम हो सके तो बहुत अच्छा है।
गर्म पानी?
हाँ जी।
अच्छा, ठीक है जी। और इस जगह का नाम जो है वो बिलासपुर है, डिस्ट्रिक्ट बिलासपुर में पड़ता है, हिमाचल प्रदेश, तहसील नैना देवी, जिला बिलासपुर है।
इधर आपको ज्यादा यात्री लोग आते हैं या?
ये ढाबे ट्रक वाले आते हैं।
ट्रक वाले आते हैं।
ये जैसे ये भाई साहब ट्रक वाला है, 588 नंबर गाड़ी है इसकी, HP 52 नंबर गाड़ी है, और परमाणा सीमेंट फैक्ट्री पे चलती है ये। परमाणा सीमेंट फैक्ट्री, अबूजा सीमेंट फैक्ट्री, JP सीमेंट फैक्ट्री, 3 फैक्ट्रियाँ हैं इधर इस रोड पे, नेशनल हाईवे पे।
South of Jammu, 10 kilometers away from the India-Pakistan border, in the dead of the night, as we were on the lookout for a campsite, an industrialist on his way back home stopped us and immediately made arrangements for our food and stay at his walnut crushing factory. He also happened to be an environment conservationist who was involved in mass tree plantations and nature education. We spoke of how culture should mingle and learn from each other. We discussed how couchsurfing allowed for strangers to intimately learn about each other and how that will lead to tolerance and respect between cultures.
Traveling through India is a delight for all the senses. The various fragrances that are scattered in the markets, the vibrant colors of the countryside, the ringing bells of the cattle, all make for a fine experience coupled with the vast knowledge of cooks all over the country. We had great luck with finding the right food and the right people all the time. Each meal was filled with surprises and revelations.
हर एक जगह की रिपोर्टिंग करते हैं?
नहीं जी, यहीं पर इतना कर रहे हैं।
Although the basic meal remained the same, the style of preparation, choice of ingredients, and serving size varied from place to place. All throughout the country, the cooks are artists in their own right. Their culinary skills are honed by generations of tradition and experience.
We ordered 3, yeah.
On an average, we cycle for 100 kilometers a day. On good days, it would go up to 160, and on bad days, as low as 15. The average speed would be 20 kilometers per hour, with a 50 kilogram load including the bike. This speed would go down to 6 kilometers per hour in the mountains, and the decrease would reflect on the daily average and bring it down to 30 to 40 kilometers per day. Usually we would cycle for 10 hours from 9 in the morning to 7 in the evening. The latest it has extended till was 1 in the morning, and that was in search of a place to pitch.
Not all roads in India are good and entirely motorable. The bikes were always laden with a minimum of 40 kilos of load, excluding the rider, and this would lead to bent wheels and broken spokes. The first such instance happened, fortunately for us, just before Hyderabad. And we came by Yellow Jersey, a professional bicycle store and maintenance center. Shilpa Shah from Yellow Jersey went out of her way to make sure our bikes were in perfect order for the journey ahead and politely refused to accept anything in return.
Sun is the same in a relative way, but you're older, shorter of breath, and one day closer to death. Every year is getting shorter, never seem to find the time. Plans that neither come to walk or half a page of smooth mind. Hanging on in quiet desperation is the English way. The time is gone, the song is over. Thought I'd something more to say.
No cycle mechanic ever took money from us for any repairs and services that they carried out on our bikes.
Home again. I like to be here when I can. When I come home cold and tired, it's good to warm my bones beside the fire. Far away across the field, tolling on the iron bell, calls the faithful to their knees. You hear the softly spoken magic spell.
People were always kind to us, and few of the friends we made along the way also turned out to be great entertainers. The boys we met at Rohtak, Vinay, Shiv and the rest of the lot pumped a lot of humor on a particularly dull day.
अरे फोटो खिंचवा लो, ये वेट कर रहे हैं यार.
कैमरे आगे किया है
कैमरा है, चल तू अपना काम कर.
फोटो दिखेगी
हाँ, फोटो नहीं दिखेगी.
चल भाई ये मीटर है ये जन्ना रसगुल्ला माइने
और कर रहे थे
अपनी फोटो
कुछ डायलॉग मारो क्यों नहीं. डायलॉग
रसगुल्ला इज माय ब्रदर
It was 1 in the morning when we reached Kolaba, Mumbai. A tent is not a practical place to stay in for a city like Mumbai, and so we were on the lookout for a suitable accommodation. In the dead of the night and through the dark alleys of Colaba, we met Xavier and his pals, a very happy-go-lucky and helpful bunch. They found us a place to stay when everything else was closed.
Once in a while, a journalist would come along and ask us questions about what we were doing. All of them were equally enthusiastic and inquisitive on knowing finer details of our daily lives. The journalists would always want to help us spread the message of the goodness of cycling and all the benefits that it brings along.
We had the great pleasure of cycling through one of the best designed tunnels in India. It was even better when we found out that the tunnel was constructed with the leadership of one of our good friend's father, Mr. Raghunath. On our way to Kashmir, 3 of our friends joined us in Manali for 10 days. It was a great pleasure to see them after 2 months of being on the road. It was rejuvenating and nourishing to be in their company.
Beautiful man. ಎಲ್ಲ ಮಲಗಿದಾರೆ ಕಣೋ.
And for a period of 7 days, the 6 of us packed 3 tents in rucksacks and crossed the Parvati Valley. It was a 150-kilometer trek filled with treacherous terrain and raw and wild beauty.
Stuff. Tuta badiya.
All along ನಮ್ಮ ಬಾಯ್ಸ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ಮೀಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೆಲ್ಲ. Why?
Because of the precise planning that our friends from Mysore did, the trek was perfect in every sense of the word.
On this journey of ours, we met a lot of other travelers. Some were travelers like us, and some were along the path of spirituality. Just a few, though, were true to their purpose. Among the many that we came by, Guruji was a magnanimous personality. A phenomenon rarely found in the modern world. Guruji had spent 25 years of his life meditating in a cave. And for the rest of it, serving people in the fields of Ayurveda and by running soup kitchens for the needy.
चिंता जो है सबसे बड़ी चीज है इंसान को टेंशन का मतलब
टेंशन नहीं होना चाहिए।
इंग्लिश में टेंशन बोलते हैं उसको,
चिंता।
हिंदी में चिंता।
He shared with us precious words of love and brotherhood.
चिंता किसको होती है, क्यों होती है, कब होती है? आप स्टूडेंट है ना, मैं आपको लेसन तो दे रहा हूँ, आप बताइए टेंशन कब होती है, क्यों होती है?
टेंशन तो बहुत चीज़ों से हो सकती है।
कैसे कैसे?
फैमिली का टेंशन हो सकता है,
हाँ,
पेरेंट्स का टेंशन हो सकता है,
पैसे का टेंशन।
पैसे का टेंशन है, और कॉलेज का भी टेंशन हो सकता है।
हाँ,
कॉलेज में टीचर के साथ टेंशन हो सकता है,
मियाँ का बीवी के साथ
हो सकता है,
फ्रेंड नाराज हो जाए तो उसके साथ भी टेंशन।
उसके साथ भी टेंशन है।
और सबसे बड़ी टेंशन कहाँ होती है? इंसान को जो जरूरत होती है ना,
वो जब नहीं मिले तो बहुत टेंशन हो जाती है।
वो ना मिले, चाहिए ना मिले, दोनों में से जो ना मिले तो टेंशन हो गया। अब चिंता जो होती है ना, और जब किसी को कोई चाह ही नहीं है तो उसको तो कभी चिंता नहीं होगी।
कैसे हो सकती है?
नहीं होगी ना।
नहीं होगी।
कहते चाह गई चिंता मिटी, मनवा बेपरवाह, मन मस्त है, मलंग है वो। और जिसकी कोई चाह नहीं वो शहंशाह का शहंशाह।
Guruji was an expert cook and an artist in living.
Met up with Ashwin Bhatia on the outskirts of Delhi, a totally new age, pro-growth and pro-self-actualization man. Bhatia bowled me by putting into words and actions what I had always imagined I wanted myself to be. He is a creator, a networking guru, a mentor for many, and inspiration in the field of business and living. Bhatia said he was overjoyed to receive us and said that we were living his dream. We stayed with the Bhatias for a few days, and apart from having the best food and being around such genuinely loving people, it was also a delight to watch the Bhatia family function in such a mutually beneficial way. After the stay, Mr. Ashwin Bhatia dropped us outside of Delhi on the Chandigarh highway at 4 in the morning with the bikes mounted on the car to avoid the morning rush hour.
I'm waiting to see you again. This is just the beginning. Take care. He said.
Yes, sir.
Chalo, what we'll do is, are you ready to start now?
Yes.
Or you want some more time?
No, we're ready.
Because I'll go there again. Okay. You come to the red light again, and from the red light then we'll carry on.
Okay.
Okay. The other option is you can go here, okay, and go in wrong side. I don't want to go wrong side. Okay. So we'll just go from here.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Okay.
So we just come from here, take a left here, and then just carry on wherever it says Karnal, Chandigarh. We're coming. We're coming.
Okay.
We're coming.
Okay.
Chalo.
Out of the 111 days, we stayed in a hotel for 8 days. For the rest, we camped wherever suitable and pitched tents. Every evening, the routine was to find food and water for dinner. Sometimes we would find an empty area to camp right beside a roadside dhaba, and usually the locals would offer us a place to stay. Total strangers, they would even force us into staying in the comfort of their homes. Sometimes we would have to find a suitable place on our own. Like an open field, an abandoned bus stop, a temple or a gurudwara. Buildings under construction and even riverbeds at 15,000 feet at sub-zero temperatures. Every evening we dismounted the luggage and equipment off the bikes and pitched the tents. And then all the luggage and equipment would go inside, leaving only the naked bikes locked to the tent. And in the morning everything would be packed again and mounted onto the bikes, ready to go. This would take an hour in the morning and in the evening.
Before gas and TV, before people had cars, we'd sit round the fires, a surrounder guitar. Remembering songs when my daddy was home. He'd play along on the spoons in a comb. We'd go with the flow when the weather was fine. Sometimes we'd go collect and scrap iron, and we'd sit around the fires, pass a bottle of wine. In the tales of the road since time out of mind. Heaven's like this, well, that's okay with me. Where the living is fine and living is free. If heaven's like this, well, then here's where I'll be, on the edge of the field, on the edge of the world, for gasoline.
When entering the city of Mumbai, a puncture led us to a pleasurable acquaintance with some fantastic fellow cyclists. It was an absolute delight to spend time in Mumbai. They also accompanied us to Lonavala, 70 kilometers away, just to see us off.
After leaving Lonavala, we came to know that we could stay with relatives at Pune. And that turned out to be one of the best decisions made in this trip. Rashmi and Guru, witnessing their family was like watching a modern romantic sitcom. There is a constant vibe of playful energy around them. Being treated to the simplest delights, we found ourselves being amazed at the light-hearted, jovial approach to life. There was magic in Rashmi's kitchen. The ladies in the house were preparing the most authentic native recipes. We just couldn't have asked for anything more.
ನೋಡು ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಸೈಕಲ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಹೋಗ್ತಾರೆ. ನೀನು ಸ್ಕೂಲ್ಗೆ ಹೋಗ್ತೀಯ ಸೈಕಲ್ ಮೇಲೆ, ನಿನ್ನ ಸೈಕಲ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿಂದ ಗೇಟ್ ತಗೊಂಡೋದ್ರು ಅಲ್ಲಿಂದ ದಬ್ಬು ಅಂತ ತಾತ ಕಾಲು ನೋಯ್ತಿದೆ ನೀ ದಬ್ಬು ಅಲ್ಲಿಂದ ದಬ್ಬು ಬರಬೇಕು. ತಗ್ದಾವಂಗ
Final for the timing.
Thank you.
Final point ನಿಮಗೆ ಹುಷಾರಾಗಿ ಹೋಗಿ.
It's very inspiring. So many people talk and we feel like doing it along with you now.
Please, you're most welcome. Anytime.
We go through a big viaduct and then through a 1.5 kilometer tunnel. It's all fully lit. Once you're out, then you're on the main Bangalore highway.
Our family rules, man.
Totally.
Among the many spiritual persons we met along the way, we met a man true to the purpose of spreading happiness.
दिल खुश होता है क्यों बाहर का बंदा मिला मन खुश हो जाता है
A man who made us proud to be part of this country. A man we are proud to have made acquaintance with.
नहीं आपने जब भी जाना है चेतन दिमाग
ठीक है जी.
कोई अच्छा बंदा देखो नाइस जैसे हमारे जैसा नाइस ठीक है हमारे जैसा अरे यार आदमी नहीं पहचान सकते आदमी तो पहचान सकते कि ये सोना है कि ये चांदी है आदमी तो फट पहचान नहीं जाता है चांदी चोर होता है सोना असली आदमी होता है
अब तो सोना है
हाँ भाई ऐसे सोना मज़ा आ जाता है
हाँ जी
हाँ
बहुत मज़ा आया जी बहुत खुशी हुई जी आपसे मिलकर
क्यों मैं तो बहुत खुश हूँ इस चीज़ों से इंसान है ना हम देखो वैसे अंग्रेज बोलते नहीं अंग्रेज इंडियन अंडरस्टैंड कहते इंडियन फक मतलब इंडियन नो फक
हाँ जी
इंडियन गुड
हाँ जी
इंडियन बहुत गुड इंडियन सोलेट रिच जो मर्जी इंसान लेके जा सकता है कोई भी चीज़ है नो प्रॉब्लम इंडियन वेरी गुड जिस इंडियन ही काम कर रहा है जिस इंडियन अरबों खरबों इंडियन वेरी
सही बात
इंडियन वेरी जिस खाना खाओ वाटर लो कोई भी चीज़ है हेलो गुड
On the western coast, after Gokarna, we stayed in Manipal for 3 days. We met our friends who were doing their masters in mass communication in Manipal University.
Thank you.
After being on the road for a long time and being used to doing everything by ourselves, the stay at Manipal was the most relaxing break that we could ask for.
Okay, guys, stick in the center because of the tawa. So it will be a little soft and
Hey, thanks man, thanks so much.
For breakfast was Mangalore buns dipped in Nutella, cheese omelets and Oreo milkshakes. Lunch used to be potato cheese burgers with french fries and more Oreo milkshake.
Oh, great job, man. Excellent. So how does this work? What is that? What kind of batter is it?
Maida, milk, eggs, sugar, salt,
Yeah?
oil.
Excellent.
And that's it. You just mix it together. I added a little bit of coffee liquor for the taste.
Beautiful.
Instead of adding vanilla essence, I generally wherever I use vanilla essence, I use coffee liquor instead. French toast, caramel custard, this, all of it I use.
Excellent.
Tamaya made us pancakes with more Nutella and honey. We even made a trip to St. Mary's Island.
Shashi looks like live and Pompeii walking along some beach shoreline.
An island which is threatened to sink very soon due to climate change.
Keep going straight. The Malpe signal is there, no? Remember yesterday that signal? Ali left. See the major signal, man.
Okay. Cool.
Last would be bus stand and...
Cool. Mangalore, yeah? Mangalore.
Momentum and go down and use the...
Staying with Shashank, Ajay, Kishore, Siddharth and Tamaya for 3 days took away any fatigue that we had accumulated over the entire journey. It was a very good mental boost and we are always thankful to them.
Bon voyage and keep the greens coming over and over. Nagpur happens to be the geometrical center of India and has a 0-mile marking in the core of the city. It is home to many prosperous industries and businesses. Nagpur is also home to Das's relatives, the Khatse family. I found their family always encouraging towards peaceful development and gave great importance to living a positive life. I am vegetarian and Mrs. Khatse never excused herself from cooking a whole different meal for me. The Khatses offered us total support. They knew our needs even before we asked for them. Das's parents were awaiting for our arrival and it was a wonder to see the whole extended family getting beautifully along together.
Most restaurants we ate at serve good food.
एक एप्पल का लेंगे जी जूस सेब का जूस.
Due to continuous exercise and exposure to the elements, our appetites had increased enormously. We had to eat more often.
ठीक है एक ग्लास पी लेंगे जी इसका.
We chose not to cook as we wanted to go with the local cuisine.
ये इसको कट करके दे हम खा लेंगे.
इसको क्या बोलते हो?
अनानस.
हाँ
अनानस. यहाँ जी यहाँ क्या बोलते हैं जी? अनानस ही बोलते हैं. बहुत अच्छा. जो वो मौसमी होता है वो
मौसमी हाँ मौसमी तो मौसमी है सेब है.
सेब और केले को हम ये क्या बोलते हैं? बाड़े. हाँ जी
केला बोलते हैं हम.
केला बोलते हैं जी. हाँ जी.
Sometimes the frequency with which we came across hotels was very less and we would have to pack and carry meals for the journey ahead. We would carry candies and snacks apart from water and electrolyte. Our diet was strictly vegetarian and we never had a problem with drinking water from any running water source.
They open up a new place flipping meat. So I do too, right across the street. I got the name, I need the town to sell up in the end and it all shuts down. Sometimes you gotta be an SOB, you wanna make a dream reality. Competition, set up south, they gonna drown, put a hose in their mouth. You're not past go straight to hell. I smell that new smell on an inland crock, it's probably key. Like crocodile, and I'd spelled that way now. Oh, it's doggy dog.
After Manipal, what we thought would be the next taste of home happened sooner than expected. A good friend Trishma arranged for us to stay at another good friend Kirti's home. Kirti's mom was so welcoming and it was akin to staying at a favorite aunt's home. Kirti was an excellent cook himself. He prepared the best tasting Iyengar food and we were left spellbound. Kirti, Trishma and Anirudh engaged us all throughout our stay and never missed on a single detail in making sure we had everything we needed. The first break with family was in Bangalore. My parents had driven down from Mysore to spend a day with me. It was great to see them just 8 days after leaving home. They made the Kanyakumari, Kashmir, Mysore banners that you see on the bikes in the video. And the banners lasted through snow, storm, wind and dust, rain and heat and stood beyond the end as a testimony to their love and support. After a well-deserved break with the boys in Parvati Valley, the three of us proceeded towards Leh on the Manali-Leh highway. On the first day, due to the slow pace of the climb, we happened to meet a tech-savvy, pro-modern ascetic.
iPhone माने ये पक्का iPhone, iPad, iTab बोलते ही इसी की चर्चा होती है अखबारों में। देखिए कितना मजबूत है, बिल्कुल ये पूरा स्क्रीन आ जाता है। अच्छा, देखिए आप कितना आसान है, इसमें इवन फिल्म भी देख सकते हैं। नजदीक देखेंगे, नजर ठीक गड़बड़ नहीं है तो फिल्म भी देख सकते हैं।
He allowed us to pitch our tents in front of his porch and encouraged us to use his water.
चार्जिंग टाइम ज्यादा लगता है लो एंड फोन्स में, जो बेसिक फोन्स है ना, चाहे कुछ किसी भी कम चार्जिंग टाइम बहुत लगता है, तभी तो लोग हमेशा लटका ही रहते हैं उतार, है ना, वो इस्तेमाल करना कम है ना, यू यूज लेस, और वो चार्जिंग उसकी सेवा फोन की सेवा ज्यादा हो रही है, फोन आपकी कम सेवा कर रही है ना, नो गुड।
और एक डिवाइस आपके लिए बहुत काम आएगा ऐसा, ये है सोलर चार्जर बोलते हैं। आप धूप में रख लिए तो इसके अंदर एक बैटरी है, वो चार्ज हो जाएगा, और जब ये वो चार्ज हो जाएगा उससे आपको फ़ोन चार्ज कर सकते हैं। तो आप दूर है, पहाड़
वंडरफुल, हाँ, दिस इज व्हाट आई नीड। मतलब ये दो चलेगा तो हम दुनिया कर लेंगे मुट्ठी में बस। अच्छा हुआ कि हम मिले हैं।
जहाँ भी एप्पल,
ये ओल्ड वर्जन है, लेटेस्ट वर्जन दोबारा हम जब मिलेंगे, मेरे साथ में मेरा भी आईफोन होगा, आपके पास भी होगा, है ना। हाँ जी, लेटेस्ट वर्जन वो काफी ज्यादा नहीं है, तो ये आपके लिए।
थैंक यू सर।
तो ये कभी कभी चलता रहे।
There were tough times, of course, but that never deterred us from progress. En route Leh, after Sarchu, was a vast dry bed named Whiskey Nala. The golden rocks underneath gave the flowing stream an unmistakable color of whiskey, and hence the name. The riverbed was part of a valley created by two mountains, the Nakilla and the Lachlangla. At 15,000 feet, this made for one of the most beautiful landscapes we ever witnessed. However, due to the harsh nature of the place, there was no human establishment for a stretch of 80 kilometers. As there were 2 ascents and descents, it would take us 2 full days to reach Pang.
Riders on the storm. Riders on the storm.
For 2 days, we just had one meal packed with us, and for the rest of the journey, we made good with water from the streams and peppermints.
Like a dog without a bone.
Still, it all worked out. We scavenged for pieces of wood and dried juniper in the dead of the night. And in the cold, dry desert of Ladakh, we had a fire going on the night of reaching Whiskey Nala, a campsite isolated for 50 kilometers on either side.
Take a long holiday. Let your children play. If you give this man a ride, sweet family will die. Killer on the road. Yeah.
There were innumerable punctures to be had, and we've had the pleasure of fixing them in a vast variety of landscapes and locations. A tire explosion due to change in atmospheric pressure at 16,000 feet in sub-zero conditions was something that was least expected. This happened at Baralacha La, one of the 6 high mountain passes en route Khardungla.
Girl, you gotta love your man. Girl, you gotta love your man. Take him by the hand. Make him understand. The world on you depends. Our life will never end. Gotta love your man. Yeah.
Fixing a puncture in sub-zero temperature is that much harder because of the numbness that it inflicts. Das organized to transport himself to Leh in search of a tire, and we were back on the road again.
Bicycle as a mode of transport is very inexpensive and easily accessible to many. On a comparative note, the total cost is way below what would have been if travelled on a motorcycle or a car. Everything put together, the overall expenditure of the trip came up to 515 rupees per person per day for a period of 111 days. This figure includes all expenses incurred during the trip, like food, equipment, spares, service, medicine, toiletries, and even the few days that we were compelled to stay at hotels. We only rented a room or stayed in a hotel when it was absolutely necessary, as it is not feasible to pitch a tent in a city like Mumbai, and the expenses too increased in such places as the cost of living was high. If we were on a motorcycle and stayed in hotels all the way, the total cost would have increased by another 60,000 rupees.
Riders on the storm. Riders on the storm. Into this house we're born. Into this world we're thrown. Like a dog without a bone, an actor out on loan. Riders on the storm.
This journey generated a great deal of interest among friends, family, and the people back home. A lot of people came together to contribute in their own unique ways. Some help by connecting us with resourceful people along the way, and some by leaving kind and encouraging words on public pages. Every day, people from all backgrounds actively followed our updates and inquired about our well-being and progress. It was always good to know that a strong circle of people were watching over us. They contributed to our cause by sharing and spreading our message to their circles.
There is no such thing as bad weather, only different kinds of good weather. As much as the journey was about traveling the land, it was also about experiencing the different moods of nature. We have had the good fortune of cycling through evergreen forests covered in white mist, through breezy grasslands with grand sunsets, into great valleys of ice-capped mountains, through the rainforests of the Western Ghats, the dusty, barren deserts of Rajasthan, by the coast of the Arabian Sea, and on the banks of the glacial Zanskar. We have also had the good fortune of experiencing the other side of nature. There were days when we cycled for hours through headwinds strong enough to bring us to a halt, through rains that lasted a week, unexpected blizzards in the mountains, and glaring sunlight and horizon-altering heat in the plains.
Southern bound from Glasgow town, she's shining in the sun. Muscotstown lassie on a border run. We're whistling down the hillsides and tearing up the climbs. I'm just a thiever, stealing time in the border river. 300,000 on the clock and plenty more to go. Crashbox and Reaver, she needs a healing tone. She's not too cold in winter, but she cooks me in the heat. I'm a 6-foot driver, but she can't adjust the seat in the border river. Sure as the sunrise, that's what they say about the Albion. Sure as the sunrise, that's what they say about the Albion. She's an Albion, she's an Albion.
Our bodies too adapted to these changing scenarios in weather. The skin was exposed to 10 hours of sun every day, burning in the dry heat and baking in the humidity. It froze and cracked in the dry, cold air of the Himalayas, only to be thawed out again in the arid long plains of Madhya Pradesh.
The ministry don't worry me, my paperwork's alright. You can't touch me, I got my sleep last night. It's knocking out a living wage in 1969. I'm just a thiever, stealing time in the border river. Sure as the sunrise, that's what they say about the Albion. Sure as the sunrise, that's what they say about the Albion. She's an Albion, she's an Albion.
Rain was a respite from the heat, but when it lasted continuously for weeks long, it soaked and blistered the feet and drenched everything we carried. For protection from the elements, we carried rainproofing for the luggage and wrapped the electronics individually in ziplocs. A pair of waterproof pants and a poncho for the person was also in the inventory. However, after extensive usage, the waterproof gear eventually weathered and wore away, but only long after serving their purpose. Leh is surrounded by ice-capped mountains, and any direction you look makes for a splendid view. The air is cold and crisp, the people are strong-willed and kind-hearted. It rained the night before we planned the Khardungla ascent. We set out early in the morning on an empty stomach in the hope of finding a food joint along the way. It was 40 kilometers of winding road and an ascent of 7,000 feet from Leh to Khardungla top. The rain from the previous night had influenced the weather and it seemed like a storm was approaching. At 18,000 feet, even the locals wouldn't predict the weather. We moved ahead praying for a glimpse of the sun through the grey sky. After long hours of riding under blind hope of finding food and warmth, we came across a military checkpost with a canteen. After a quick bite at South Pulu, Khardungla was another 20 kilometers away. There was a lot of ground to be covered in little time, and the storm was already upon us. The bikes had to make their way through crunchy snow and slippery sleet. The blizzard had set in, and we continued ahead. At 4 p.m., Khardungla loomed ahead out of a wall of falling snow. A man from a tea shop offered us free black tea as soon as we arrived. It was exhilarating to be standing on one of the highest motorable roads in the world after 2 months of biking from sea level. The man at South Pulu was most concerned about our safety. It was a sensitive area and he knew it. He served us hot tea and rubbed our hands for warmth.
The bikes were self-sustained units of mobility and living. We had with us solar panels and USB rechargeable batteries that we used to charge 2 phones, 2 iPods, 2 speakers and a camera. At any given time, there was a minimum of 4 liters of water, and at full capacity it was 6. Water can be termed as the most important element of this journey, and we drank from streams, rivers, borewell pump sets, public tanks, taps, restaurants, tea shops and every other possible source. Every bike had enough spares and repair equipment to get itself back into running order under any foreseeable circumstance. Each cycle had 10 spare tubes, 5 puncture repair kits, extra spokes, a chain, lube, and tools to dismantle the bike.
the last day of the journey, as we approached Mysore, the tires were riddled with punctures. We had one every hour. During this loss of time, when alternate transport was being considered, we saw Das and Arun approach us, and soon thereafter, they were followed by Rishi, Nandu, Seena, Chinky, and Star himself. They helped with bringing fresh tubes from Mysore and accompanied us all along the last leg of the ride. We even stopped by for a bite at a bakery.
On the last day of the journey, we entered Mysore through the ring road, and by the highway outside a hotel, we saw familiar faces waving at us. It was 8 in the night, and there was a congregation of family and friends who were patiently waiting for our arrival since 4 in the evening. We moved the bikes into the restaurant to find ourselves in the midst of celebration. There were a lot of faces, familiar and unknown, old and new, and all were happy. It was very warm and welcoming.
Our very own nephews, Pranava and Prabodha, cycled all the way out to the highway just to greet us. Their welcoming faces led us to a spectacular meal cooked by our grandmother. Pranava and Prabodha actively motivate us to keep going from the enthusiasm and passion that they share towards cycling. The boys tracked our every move during the course of our journey and got inspired to go on a bicycle tour to Khardungla. We are glad to have such shining youngsters in our family.
There has always been a subculture of long-distance travelers in our country. We met quite a few hitchhikers, people touring by foot, and cyclists. We had the pleasure of meeting 4 such gentlemen from Delhi who were on their way back home from a pilgrimage to Vaishno Devi. They shared with us precious knowledge that they had gained over the past 22 years of touring on bicycles. They were elite cyclists who had perfected the art of lightweight living. This serendipitous encounter reassured us on the fact that such a lifestyle is plausible for people from all walks of life. Almost all such travelers go unnoticed by people who are not observant. There are very few opportunities to meet wanderers of this kind, as they are never under the limelight of the media. And we had the chance of meeting these beautiful people as we too were on one such journey. We came across cyclists from other countries who are cycling for years and will continue for years ahead. These people were in our country to experience and witness the magnificence of the land. These are the people who are true to their purpose, the purpose of living beyond man-made boundaries and being free in every sense of the word. There is more to traveling than just tourism. There is an element of surprise in every nook and corner, and it takes a free mindset, one that does not expect anything, to savor it. It is about going beyond stereotypes and experiencing the finer details of different lifestyles. The perspective of a tourist is generally very impersonal. It brings a divide between the immediate surrounding and the person. However, traveling this way demands the person's involvement in every detail of daily life. It demands active participation in decision making, and most importantly, it removes the basic transactional association with strangers and replaces it with a long-lasting, rewarding relationship. Traveling this way brought us happiness, joy, and compassion. It made us tolerant and understanding towards people and practices. We strongly believe that if the same emotions of happiness and joy spread through more people, the future of our world can evolve into a more considerate and mutually benefiting society. After all, we have just one world.